Good evening, everyone. Let's call this meeting to order at 5:35 this Tuesday evening, November 11th. Thank you all for being here. Dottie, would you please conduct a roll call to ascertain a quorum?
Yes, sir. Chair Patrick Molina.
Here.
Vice Chair Heather Anderson.
Here.
Member Bill Brown.
Here.
Member Jan Schubert.
Here.
And Dottie McKinney, Secretary, here.
All right, we have a quorum. And Miss Warner, would you please put the flag up so that we can recite the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, it's on this screen. There we go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And to any and all veterans who are on the call, happy Veterans Day, and thank you so much for all of your service. All right. We're on item number 2. For those of you playing along with our agenda, it is time for public comment regarding any item on the agenda. If you are in our attendees gallery and you would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand using the button at the very bottom of your screen. Give everyone an opportunity in the attendees gallery to find that button. It's about the middle of the very bottom of the Zoom screen.
Chair Molina, there is also one person by phone that may, or since they're calling in, may not have that option. So I'm just going to give them permission to talk.
Okay.
In case that is somebody who.
Sure.
Let me just change the name so I'm not sharing their phone number with the world. Oops. Person who's calling in ending in, oh, I didn't catch it, but phone number starting with 250. Did you want to make a public comment today? If so, you can unmute yourself and make your comment. I'd say not.
Hi, it's me,
Oh.
Joe Biardo.
Oh, okay. Did you want to make a public comment?
Yeah. No, you just had asked me to join in case anybody had questions about the
E-rate
work
thing.
that
Okay.
we were
Thank you,
talking
Joey.
about. Yeah.
Thank you, Joey. I'll change your
welcome.
name to Joey Biardo. Thanks.
All right. Well, seeing that no one has raised their hand to make a public comment regarding any item on the agenda, we will close that agenda item and move on to item number 3, which is the approval of the current agenda, which I hope everyone has had an opportunity to become familiar with. I move to approve our current agenda for this evening's meeting. A second, please.
I can second.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. All right. Any changes, thoughts, or comments? Actually, we can't do any changes to the to the agenda. So, Ms. Dottie, would you please conduct a roll call vote to approve the agenda for this evening's meeting as posted?
Yes, Chair Molina, I apologize. Who seconded the motion?
Mr. Brown, Bill Brown.
Mr. Brown?
Yep.
Thank you. Chair Patrick Molina.
Aye.
Vice Chair Heather Anderson.
Hi.
Member Jan Schubert.
Muted.
Member Mr. Brown. And Jan Schubert.
Sorry. Hi.
Thank you.
Sorry.
All right. I think we have everybody voted. Excellent. Thank you very much. Item number 4 are the approval of our meeting minutes from October 14th and the 23rd. I'm going to conduct 2 separate votes on that to keep it very clean. So I move to approve the meeting minutes from October 14th, 2025. A second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Heather. Any thoughts, comments, or corrections? Going once, going twice. That looked pretty straightforward to me. Well then, Ms. Dottie, would you please conduct a roll call vote to approve our meeting minutes from our October 14th, 2025 meeting?
Yes, sir. Chair Patrick Molina.
Aye.
Vice Chair Heather Anderson.
Aye.
Member Jan Schubert.
Aye.
And member William Brown.
Aye.
And Dottie McKinney, aye.
Outstanding. Our meeting minutes from the 25th was a continuation of the 14th because that meeting had gone long. So I move to approve our meeting minutes from the continuation of our 14th on the 25th.
Excuse me, I thought October 23rd was a special meeting. Let me
Was
check.
it? Was it?
Yeah, I don't think it was a continuation, but I could be wrong. It should have been a special meeting, right?
No,
Yeah, I didn't list it as special at the top, but
okay, because
it
it's
was,
Thursday, October 23rd, 24. So that needs to
yeah,
be, but we'll get to that
yeah.
here.
Yeah, but it's a special, I didn't change at the top there.
You're right. You're absolutely right. It was a special meeting because we had those two topics. This was a special. So let me amend my motion. I move to approve the meeting minutes from our special meeting conducted on October 20, right?
3rd.
23rd, 2025. A second, please.
I'll second. That was Jan.
All right, Jen.
Same.
I do have a correction on the first page. Thursday, October 23rd, 2025, special with an L in parentheses.
I'm sorry, Patrick, or Chair Molina, could you repeat that?
Yeah, on the first page, Karen is fixing it right now. The word special meeting was missing the letter L.
Oh,
Oops.
okay.
I wanted to make that red text because that was the change. Okay.
Thank you. And I think everything else on there looks fine and correct. Yep, everything else looks to be in order to me. If anybody else sees anything, please make it known. All right, if there's no further discussion on our meeting minutes from the 23rd, then Ms. Dottie, would you please conduct a roll call vote to approve the meeting minutes from Thursday, October 23rd, 2025 for our special meeting?
Yes, sir. Chair Patrick Molina.
Aye.
Vice Chair Heather Anderson.
Aye.
Member Jan Schubert.
Aye.
Member William Brown.
Aye.
And Secretary Dottie McKinney, aye.
Thank you all so very much. We move right into our school finances. Let us promote Miss Justine Behill to the panel.
I have asked her to promote, and before we finish the school finances section, we do have a couple things where Lisa Hughes will jump in for some information about the buses, and Joey, who was on the phone, will jump in about E-rate funding. And also we have a new person to introduce to you that's going to be helping with business for the school, Hannah Force Lang. So yeah, let's make sure I get all that done in this section when Justine is finished with her reports, please.
Awesome. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry I have my camera off and my computer is saying that my internet's a little unstable, so just trying to make it through the meeting. Not sure what's going on, but let me share my screen to show the report. All right, starting with the revenue report, these reports are run from July 1st through October 31st. Looking at the actual column, you can see these are the actual revenues that we have received. I think a couple of months ago, I did a bar and I brought it to you all for approval to budget this $262,000 for the insurance recoveries, and PED did disapprove it. I did have a call last week with PED and they stated that they were going to reverse the bar and approve it because the reason for the disapproval was they thought it should not go into operational, it should go into a different fund. But I guess after they talked, they came to the conclusion that it will be in the operational fund. So that money will be budgeted, and you'll see that budgeted on next month's report. But as far as revenues, really nothing new to report. You know, RFRs are coming in, I would say after I submit them, about 2 to 3 weeks. But really no new revenues other than RFRs coming in. Going on to the expenditure report, looking at the operational fund, I had mentioned last month about a few of the budget cuts that were going to happen. So this is really where the school stands. I haven't made those budget cuts yet. That 40-day count has to come from a memo from PED. We usually see that in February. So that bar will probably take place in March. And then the cash carryover bar, the audit has not been completed yet. I know they're wrapping things up. We should get those draft financials by next month, and I'm hoping to have a bar in January for that. So you'll kind of see these numbers until we get those items. USDA, I'm still watching the USDA revenues. I think this fund will actually be more revenues than expenditures. So right now it's showing a negative, but I think the budget is just low currently. So I will probably do that budget increase December, January after I see a trend for about 6 months, just to get a good average or an estimate on those revenues. And then all of the other funds are looking good. We're spending those down. Try to spend them all down to zero, and any that do carry over is good to carry over, such as the capital fund, your HB 33 and SB 9. If we don't spend all of those, they do get carried over. HB 33 is showing negative. I think there will be a cash carryover increase, and again, that will happen once I get the audited financials. Any questions on the revenues or expenditures?
Can you scroll up just a little bit? Are we tardy or somewhere tardy with regards to the lease reimbursement being 1 point?
Yes, we have not received that award letter yet. So I'm estimating about 1.5 million in the lease reimbursement. We usually get that, I would say, end of November, but I did hear somewhere that the PSCOC was not going to have their meeting to approve those awards until December. So we could see those end of December, January.
Thank
So
you.
that doesn't help with cash flow, but hopefully, you know, we'll get that soon.
Did we
Going on-
lose
go ahead.
Bill?
I'm sorry?
No, we didn't. I'm sorry. I thought we lost Bill. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Still here.
All right, going on to the issued purchase orders report. These are the current open POs that we have. Going on to the bank account register activity report. This is just for the month of October, showing revenues and expenses that occurred during this month. And so our revenues did exceed our expenditures, which is what we like to see. I think one of the big RFRs that came in was the school kitchen infrastructure grant. And so that's what this is made up of, with a few other little revenues, but I would say the bulk of this 337,000 makes up that school kitchen infrastructure. So total revenues were 2.2 million during the month, and then total expenses were 2.1. Going on to the bank reconciliation, as of October 31st, we had an ending balance in the bank of 365,000. Outstanding checks of 8,400, which the true balance is 356,000, which balances to the general ledger, which are the next few pages showing your total cash and liabilities by fund. Any questions on the report?
Not on the reports, but have we resolved the check issue with ACH and what was it called? Positive.
Hey,
Yeah, positive pay. Have we resolved that? Or are we still having issues with folks who are getting paper checks, not being able to get those deposited?
it was one person, and I'm not sure if it's her bank, but we've put procedures in place where we get email notifications. I check the bank every single day, even today, knowing it was a holiday, just in case. I check every single day that fraud filter. So I don't know if it's with that one person's bank or not, because it has happened. I think we finally did a direct deposit to the parents' account, and that worked. But that really was the only one. Once we started putting extra procedures in place to get it all figured out. So there hasn't been any since then.
Outstanding. Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Not from me.
Okay, there are 3 bars. Bar number 7, this is a increase bar for the transportation fund. And this is the rental fee for 2 buses in the amount of $70,102. And so basically, the school gets awarded this money, PD kind of flows it through the school, and then we flow it to the transportation contractor. Bar number 8, this is an initial budget bar for the pilot CTE award in the amount of $24,500. We're using this fund to pay after school salaries, tutors, along with stipends for teachers and stipends for coordinator. And the last bar is bar number 9. This is an initial budget bar for the REC. This is a $10,000 award that the PEC has given all charters. And so we're using this fund to pay for part of business office support salaries. And those are the bars.
Okay, and under the first bar, number 7-I, we have some approval packets. Do we need to look at those to support those, or is that a separate issue?
Chair Molina, this is Karen. Director of Transportation Lisa Hughes is here to just review that with you all quickly, if that's okay, to explain about the bars and the new buses.
Please.
And I can also speak to the other bars too, because I was a part of those bars as well. So for the first bar, bar number 7, the school transportation bar, we did have 2 approval letters come in through PED. Buses can only be in service for 12 years before they get approval letters to be replaced. The process to replace a bus is quite lengthy. So when we get some of the approval letters, sometimes it's about 1.5 years out before we get the bus. So if you click on that approval packet, and I can share my screen. Justine, do you mind if I share my screen so that they can see those approval letters? So we get a first approval letter from PED just to say that we have approval to purchase or replace the school bus. Can you all see my screen? Perfect. So it talks about the school bus to be replaced. Again, this was replacing bus 1171 because the year was 2007. So it was about to be in retired, couldn't be used status. So this comes from PED. Then we take that to the bus company, lets them know that we need to purchase another bus. They start the process for purchasing another bus. Once the bus comes in, we do the school bus replacement and database update form. which just allows the bus company to let PED know which bus we're retiring and which bus is now going to be in our fleet. It talks about the bus to be retired, the date that things that when it becomes out of service, it's the fleet contractor owned. It is a to and from bus. Right now, this bus was currently a spare bus, but we do have to retire it because it is older than the 12 years. We can't do this packet until we get the title. So here is the title for this new bus, saying that we are the lien holder, but it is a registered owner as a Herrera Bus Company. And then this is just all the paperwork for the registration for the bus, the application for the title so that we submit that to PED. And then the buyer's orders are in that as well, stating that we were ordering the bus. The other packet is the same, except for a second bus that we are approving. So it was a bus 2 that is taken out of service. It was bus 1201. So again, the paperwork is all the same, except for the second bus to be replaced. This was the approval letter that allows us to purchase a new bus. This is the database update form for the new bus that is being put into service. The bus that is being taken out of service. It was also a spare, but it does have to be taken out of service because of the time frame. And again, the title, the registration, the application for the title and the registration, and then the buyer's orders for that bus as well. When we do put a bus into service with a new bus, we do have to pay the rental fees on it. And so that is why we have an updated contract then. Let me get that one here to share on the screen. So everything in the contract remains the same. The price of the contract does go up because this is now including those rental fees for the budget adjustment request. So that changes right here. Everything else remains the same until you get down to the bottom part of the contract, which shows all of the buses that are in our fleet in service. The rental fees vary depending on what year they were put into service because they're different rental fees per year as set up by PED. So you'll see right here, these are our 2 new buses, EA16 and EA17, with the new rental fees included on the contract. And so that update will go to PED once these bars are approved so that they have it. The contracts have also have been checked by Herrera, and then we'll send them to PED once the bar is approved. Any questions on the transportation bar?
Nope. Nice work.
Yeah, a lot of work.
Thank you. It is a lot of work, a lot of reporting, and a lot of changes that happen, and it can't happen until the bus is here. Plus, it can't happen until the bus has the title. So it's a lengthy process, but that's those information there. And then if there's no other questions on the transportation bar, I will talk about the second bar, 008, that Justine shared about, which was tutoring. This is our near peer tutoring grant that we have gotten. The tutoring, a lot happens within the school day, and there are stipends for the teacher coordinators and stipends or salaries for the student tutors. We do have a near peer update coming later in the agenda, but that is the near peer grant that we were awarded this year. Are there any questions on that bar?
No, ma'am.
All right, then moving on to the PEC special projects bar, the 0009 bar that Justine talked about. This bar or this grant was a grant that we applied for based on any indicators that we were not meeting in our annual report. And so we did write it for supporting transitioning to some business manager support within our staff. And we were awarded that grant. And so that grant will go to support new staff members supporting internally for our school. Any questions on the PEC special projects grant or bar?
Not from me.
All right, well then I will turn it back over to Justine if there's anything else, and then I believe we have to have possible action on these bars, but I will turn it back over to Justine.
Thank you.
Lisa, before they do the bars, do you need a vote? You need to vote on that contract too, right?
We need to vote on the financial reports.
Financial reports, the bars, and then we also need an approval on the revised contract.
Correct.
Do you need an approval on number 3, the special projects?
No, we already
That's-
have that award letter. We just need the bar to get budget authority
Okay.
for the budget.
So Chair Molina, you got those 3 things? Financial reports, bars, and the contract B1A3.
B1A3.
The revised contract needs to also be approved.
Oh, right. Okay. All right. So let us begin with the financial reports. I move to approve the financial reports as presented for the month ending September 30th, 2025. A second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you so very much. Any discussion with regards to those financial reports? Hopefully everybody had an opportunity to give them a quick look before the meeting because we looked at them very quickly here. Our finance committee meeting did go very well, by the way, and I sent a little update on that earlier this week. It's all a blur, but a very productive finance committee meeting. So hopefully you are all satisfied with the reports as presented. Any further discussion? Well then, Ms. Study, would you please conduct a roll call vote to approve the financial reports for the month ending September 30th, 2025 as presented?
Yes, sir. Chair Patrick Molina,
Aye.
Vice Chair Heather Anderson,
Aye.
Member Jan Schubert,
Aye.
Member William Brown,
Aye.
and Secretary Dottie McKinney. Aye.
Thank you all very much. Now we need to approve the amended contract for 1A. What was that? 1A? I didn't write it down. Sorry.
I don't know that you need to reference the agenda item, but it's
Oh,
B1A3,
oh, yeah.
the revised contract with the new buses.
I move to approve the revised contract for our new buses as presented. A second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you, Vice Chair Anderson. Any further discussion? Then, Ms. Study, would you please conduct a roll call vote to approve the contract amendment and changes as presented?
Yes, sir. And I apologize. Who seconded the motion?
Ms.
Heather.
Anderson.
Heather, thank you.
I know it cruises, man. You're flying.
I'm trying to type and listen at the same time. Chair Patrick Molina,
Aye.
Vice Chair Heather Anderson,
Aye.
Member Jan Schubert,
Aye.
Member William Brown,
Aye.
Secretary Dottie McKinney. Aye.
I'm not sure if anybody got to attend my conference presentation about the board, but I gave the secretary tons of props because you are so busy in that spot. All right, very good. Then I'm just going to kind of present a slate of bars for us to vote on. I move to approve the budget adjustment requests ending in 07I, 08IB, and 09IB as presented. A second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Jan. All right, any further discussion? I think what Lisa presented on all 3 of those was quite outstanding and very concise. So thank you so much, Ms. Lisa. Any other questions, comments, thoughts? And Jan, being a new board member who hasn't seen a whole lot of bars, this is how we handle money coming into the schools from the state and under other funding sources. And we try to make sure that we actually do make sure that the budget numbers and the money coming in match. And these bars keep us square with the state. That's a very basic overview on how the bars work. So at the end of the school year, Justine's going to bring us a slate of bars to move money around as permitted by law. So we'll have a whole bunch of those at the end of the school year, typically moving money around so that everything is covered correctly. So that's what that is. And it just keeps us square with the state and with the way the money flows. So that's kind of the purpose of the bars. All right. Any further discussion or questions? Then, Ms. Dottie, would you please conduct a roll call vote to approve the budget adjustment requests ending in 07I, 08IB, and 09IB?
Yes, sir. Chair Patrick Molina,
Aye.
Vice Chair Heather Anderson,
Aye.
Member Jan Schubert,
Aye.
Member William Brown,
Aye.
and Secretary Dottie McKinney. Aye.
We did skip VA2 on our agenda, and that's the introduction of Hannah Force Lang. So, Ms. Karen, would you like to introduce and promote that person to our panel?
Absolutely. And then I think at this point we're finished with Miss Hughes and Miss Behill, so I can put them back in the attendees. Yes.
I believe that would be
Okay.
fine.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Who went? Nobody? Yeah, Justine. Okay. And then Lisa. And I have asked to promote Hannah if she would join us. We've also promoted Joey on the phone because the next item is the E-rate business. And Joey, for those of you who don't know, is our Director of Information Technology and can speak to those application and award for internet related or technology related items. Heather is not accepting my promotion. Hannah, I'm sorry, Hannah. Keep saying Heather. There she is.
She is.
So I think one of the special projects is helping us bring Hannah to you today. She has been hired to help support the business aspect, kind of working, going to be taking over for Ms. Vihill when at the change here for I think next meeting even, Miss Hannah, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But Hannah, would you please introduce yourself to the board here? I know you've been watching, so you see them, but
Yeah,
would you just tell a little bit about you?
of course. Yes. Hi, everybody. My name is Hannah Forsling. It's nice to meet you all. I'm super excited to be working with Explore and Alliop. I've been in education myself for 18 years. I'm a school business official. I have my license and went to college for education as well. So I'm really passionate and excited to be serving in this capacity as a business manager. Haley and Brittany and I think we will be a great team, and we're really excited to just have like a really good flow and good relationships and communication with everybody.
Excellent. Well, welcome aboard. Are you going to be focusing on the payroll side? Is that right? Is that correct?
So Haley is focusing on the payroll side. Yeah, Haley's focusing on payroll. And then Brittany is focusing on purchasing. I am going to be like doing the business management side, so making sure everything's flowing really well. I'll be presenting next month, like the same kind of presentation that Justine has been doing for you guys for the budget and everything. So
Perfect. Very good.
Mhm.
Thanks. Well, welcome aboard.
Yeah, thank you. Excited to be here.
So I think just for proper introduction, I think you've noticed Chair Molina is our chair, Mr. Patrick Molina. Vice Chair is Heather Anderson. And our secretary is Dottie McKinney. And we also have the two members, Jan Schubert and Bill Brown, or William Brown on the screen. And so a very strong board, very engaged board. And I'm really happy to work with this group, and I think you will too. So welcome, Hannah.
Thank you.
So I'm going to send you back to watch the rest of the meeting if you'd like, or go have dinner or whatever it is you were going to do. But thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Hannah.
Now we can turn on Joey to hear about the E-rate funding.
Yeah, and the application and award are linked on your agendas. But I thought if you had any questions, I would not be able to answer any detailed questions. So I asked Joey to join us. But Joey, if you want to unmute yourself, you're welcome to explain what's been applied for and what this E-rate is for, or how it works, whatever you'd like to share. or not. Hold on.
There's
There you go. Hi, Joey.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah. Hi. Hello, everyone. I guess the brief summary of E-rate is that it is a federal program for public schools and libraries that covers some of their cost for internet service to the building. And that cost percentage is based on the FRL, free reduced lunch count. And so in our Albuquerque school, we get a 50% reimbursement rate from the federal government. And we're currently in a contract for some of our services, but the item that is in front of you tonight is a state reimbursement. So there's a percentage of funding from funding year 2024 that the state has agreed to reimburse Explore Academy $1,871.37. And so this is for, again, last year.
And it just would be good to document the approval because Mr. Molina had to sign this document for submission. So we ask for your
Yes.
approval.
So
Okay, I approve.
we
No, not you, Joey, but the board itself.
so we
I'm
are
sorry.
approving the application.
And the award. Just approve the whole packet,
The award.
application and the award.
Yeah.
All right.
It's really
Done.
the award we want approved, but
I
both would
move-
be good.
Mhm.
I move to approve the E-rate funding letter of application and letter of award. A second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you, Dottie. Any questions, gang? All right. Well, $1,800 is $1,800. I'll happily put that in the bank. Absolutely.
Exactly.
All right.
Yes, thank you.
Yep, you bet. If no further discussion, Ms. Dottie, would you please conduct a roll call vote to approve the E-rate funding letter of application and letter of award?
Yes, sir. Chair Patrick Molina.
Aye.
Vice Chair Heather Anderson.
Aye.
Member Jan Schubert.
Aye.
Member William Brown.
Aye.
Secretary Dottie McKinney. Aye.
Great. So thank you, Joey. I'm
You
gonna
guys have it.
remove you,
Thanks, guys.
remove your permission to talk.
Okay.
Go enjoy the rest of your
Thank you.
evening. Thank you. And before you get to your next section, Chair Molina, we're going to go into closed session, right? Next, we do have several attendees, so I'm going to send an invite and then I'll put it in the link. But you go ahead and proceed with your procedures to get there. But I just wanted Ms. Matthews to hear that I'm going to send a link to the closed session via email to her as well.
Great. And when you send it to me, please send it to my phs.org account.
Yes, we'll do.
All right. Well, then we'll take care of the administrative on the board side while Ms. Karen sends that invite to the rest of us. I move to enter the board into a closed session for the purpose of discussing matters subject to the attorney-client privilege pertaining to a threatened or pending litigation in which the public body is or may become a participant, permitted under section 10-15-1H7 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act. A second, please.
Aye.
Thank you, Ms. Jan. Jan seconded that. Well, then, Ms. Dottie, would you please conduct a roll call vote so that the board may enter a closed session for the purpose of discussing matters subject to the attorney-client privilege pertaining to the threatened or pending litigation in which the public body is or may become a participant as permitted under section 10-15-1H7 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act.
Yes, sir. Chair Patrick Molina. Chair Patrick Molina.
Aye.
Vice Chair Heather Anderson.
Aye.
Member Jan Schubert.
Aye.
Member William Brown.
Aye.
And Secretary Dottie McKinney. Aye.
All right. So now all we need is that link to zip into the closed session. And
Hold on one second. I
Mhm.
have Miss Matthews has her hand raised, so I'm going to have her join us here.
Great.
So board members and Miss Matthews, I did send a meeting invitation for the closed session with a link. I also have put it in the chat for panelists. Miss Matthews, you can also see it here in the chat as well. Does anyone have any questions?
Do not.
Where did you say you put that?
In the chat for this meeting, so at
Got
the
it.
bottom, if you, yeah, or in your email for your board email. Mr. Molina, I did also send it to that other email address, but it's also in the chat here.
Want us to go there?
Now, Miss Matthews, sorry.
There it goes. I apologize, my video was not working because I didn't click on it. Just a point of order, Mr. Molina, this occurred last time where you had multiple items for closed session. And so I don't know if is your preference to go in and discuss all three of the items that are up for, you want to do them separately?
Yep.
Okay,
Keeps it very,
right.
keeps it
Right.
nice and clean. So yes, we'll bounce back and forth, but I think that certainly lives to the spirit of the Open Meetings Act. So we will do that. All right. Thanks, everybody. I guess we can stop the recording now and we will go into closed session. I'll see everybody. Move to adjourn the closed session for the purpose of discussing matters subject to the attorney-client privilege pertaining to threatened or pending litigation in which the public body is or may become a participant as permitted under Section 10-15-1H7 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act. A second, please.
I'll second. You can pick one.
Heather. Heather is our second. All right. Ms. Dottie, would you please conduct a roll call vote to adjourn the closed session for the purpose of discussing matters subject to the attorney-client privilege pertaining to threatened or pending litigation in which the public body is or may become a participant as permitted under Section 10-15-1H7 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act?
Yes, sir. Chair Patrick Molina,
Aye.
Vice Chair Heather Anderson,
Aye.
Member Jan Schubert,
Aye.
Member William Brown,
Aye.
Secretary Dottie McKinney, aye.
Outstanding. Thank you all. We do have an action item as a result of that closed session. I move to accept the report and recommended conclusion of the independent investigator who reviewed the former employee's complaint of discrimination and to authorize Mr. Molina or his designate to distribute the confidential report to the former employee and named respondents. A second, please.
I'll second.
All righty, Mr. Brown. All right, we have a second from Mr. Brown. Ms. Dottie, would you please conduct a roll call vote to accept the report and recommended conclusion of the independent investigator who reviewed the former employee's complaint of discrimination and to authorize Mr. Molina or his designate to distribute the confidential report to the former employee, named and named respondents?
Yes, sir. Chair Patrick Molina,
Aye.
Vice Chair Heather Anderson,
Aye.
Member Jan Schubert,
Aye.
Member William Brown,
Aye.
Secretary Dottie McKinney, aye.
Very good. Thank you so very much. Well, folks, we get to do this 2 more times. I move for the board to enter into a closed session for the purpose of discussing the acquisition of a new facility to create a K-12 campus and related financing as permitted under Section 10-15-IH8 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act. A second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Dottie. And all we need now is a roll call vote to enter into a closed session for the purpose of discussing the acquisition of a new facility to create a K-12 campus and related financing as permitted under Section 10-15-1H8 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act.
Yes, sir. Chair Patrick Molina,
Aye.
Vice Chair Heather Anderson,
Aye.
Member Jan Schubert,
Aye.
Member William Brown,
Aye.
Secretary Dottie McKinney, aye.
All right, everybody. We can back, everyone. I move to adjourn the closed session for the purpose of discussing the acquisition of a new facility to create a K through 12 campus and related financing as permitted under section 10-15-1 H8 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act. A second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you. Ms. Dottie, would you please conduct a roll call vote to adjourn from the closed session for the purpose of discussing the acquisition of a new facility to create a K through 12 campus and related financing as permitted under section 10-15-1 H8 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act?
Yes, sir. Chair Patrick Molina,
Aye.
Vice Chair Heather Anderson,
Aye.
Member William Brown,
Aye.
Secretary Dottie McKinney, aye.
And Ms. Schubert is trying to get back into this meeting. So we do have a quorum and we will continue on. All right. No action is required by the board at this time with regards to the K through 12 campus and related financing, which brings us to our third closed session of the evening. I move to have the board enter into a closed session for the purpose of discussing limited personal matters in regards to demotion, dismissal, or reassignment of roles as permitted under section 10-15-1 H2 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act. A second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Ms. Dottie, would you please conduct a roll call vote so that the board may enter into a closed session for the purpose of discussing the acquisition of a new, for discussing limited personnel matters in regards to demotion, dismissal, or reassignment of roles as permitted under section 10-15-1 H2 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act?
Yes, sir. Chair Patrick Molina,
Aye.
Vice Chair Heather Anderson,
Aye.
Member William Brown,
Aye.
Secretary Dottie McKinney, aye.
All right, everybody, one more time. We'll go right back in. We'll handle this, come right back out. See you there. Welcome back, everyone. I move to adjourn the closed session for the purpose of discussing limited personnel matters in regards to demotion, dismissal, or reassignment of roles as permitted under section 10-15-1 H2 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act.
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Dottie. Dottie seconded. All right, Ms. Dottie, if you would please conduct a roll call vote to adjourn the closed session for the purpose of discussing limited personnel matters in regards to demotion, dismissal, or reassignment of roles as permitted under section 10-15-1 H2 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act.
Yes, sir. Chair Patrick Molina, Chair Patrick Molina,
Aye.
Vice Chair Heather Anderson,
Aye.
Member Jan Schubert,
Aye.
Member William Brown,
Aye.
Secretary Dottie McKinney, aye.
Very good. We do have one action item coming out of that meeting. So I move that the administration shall, prior to taking any personnel actions, perform additional studies, if necessary, of the school's current staffing to determine which positions must be wholly or partially eliminated in order to implement the head administrator's plan. Further, that the head administrator's concern when eliminating positions shall be the governing council's interest and mandate to maintain a sound and balanced educational program which is accredited and meets the state and federal or regulatory requirements or standards, as well as the educational, cultural, developmental, and extracurricular programs established for the school. In implementing the reduction in force, the head administrator shall reach his decision on which positions are eliminated, reduced, or redefined by using objective criteria as described in the governing council policy. A second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you, Bill. All right, everyone. As we discussed, the policy has already been in place, so we're not voting on the policy. We are voting on the plan and the responsibilities therein with regards to the head administrator and our roles. Any further discussion?
I would request that you.
It's on its way. I will send that to you shortly. All right.
Okay.
Very good. You read my mind. You're on top.
Mhm. You read mine.
Any other questions or discussion? Very well. Miss Dottie, would you please conduct a roll call vote? For the administration shall, prior to taking any personnel actions, perform additional duties if necessary of the school's current staffing to determine which positions must wholly or partially be eliminated in order to implement the head administrator's plan. Further, that the head administrator's concern when eliminating positions shall be the governing council's interest and mandate to maintain a sound and balanced educational program, which is accredited and meets state and federal or regulatory requirements or standards, as well as the educational, cultural, developmental, and extracurricular programs established for the school. In implementing the reduction in force, the head administrator shall reach his decision on which positions are eliminated, reduced, or redefined by using objective criteria as described in the governing council policy.
Yes, sir. Chair Patrick Molina,
Aye.
Vice Chair Heather Anderson,
Aye.
Member Jan Schubert,
Aye.
Member William Brown,
Aye.
Secretary Dottie McKinney, aye.
All right, that passes. Thank you all very, very much. All right, item E are board committee reports, if any. The audit committee is quiet until things come out later on this year. The finance committee, I think we've pretty much covered all of that. Bill, anything you want to add to anything that we've discussed thus far?
No, I think we're good.
Very good. And
Unless anybody has a question.
yeah. I think we may have already covered most of that in the finance piece and in the RIF conversation. So very good. And facilities committee, any updates from you folks?
No, sir.
Okay, very, very good. Let me bounce over then very quickly to the administrative report. As you all know, Jake is not here this evening. Mr. Colander is on a little bit of a holiday, so he has given me some notes to share with all of you. And we're going to cover a little bit of academic data, some staffing, some changes, very minor changes to the OKRs, and a quick marketing plan update. So here we go. I'm subbing in for Jake. So
Sure.
with regards, yes, ma'am.
Chairman Lee, I just wanted to ask, Jake had asked Melissa Hernandez to provide some academic data tonight, and
Oh,
she's
okay.
here.
Oh, great.
Did
Very
you
nice.
want her to do that?
Sure. Melissa, are you going to cover the little chart or the little table that he gave me with regards to third, fourth, fifth, and all that? Or do you want me to cover that?
I can, and then if there's anything that else that you would like to share, please definitely
Okay.
add on to anything that I have to say.
Well, then the floor is yours.
Okay, well, good evening, Chair Molina and members of the board. My name is Melissa Hernandez, and I am the Director of Assessment, and I also oversee English learner programs. So part of my role is I ensure that we complete testing for all of our sites. I also review all of the data that PED has that then leads to school designations. And as you may or may not know, NM Vistas does go live tomorrow, which will announce our school designation, and you can dive deeper into some of that data. The embargo was lifted October 31st, so I am so happy to share some of this exciting information with you all. So I wanted to take a look back so that we could compare the school year 23-24 and 24-25 data. PED did a lot of work in the most recent years so that now we actually have business rules in place that are easy to understand so that we can replicate some of the information that they provide. So in looking at that, I wanted to start off with our iMesa beginning of year results. And so this is our reading, language arts, and math assessment that all students in grades 3 through 8 take 3 times a year. And then we have our summative assessment, which is NMASA. The other assessment we administer at BOY, MOY, and EOY is iStation to K-12. I didn't provide that data just because Amira acquired iStation and BOY was a nightmare, not just for our location, but pretty much all districts and state charter schools in New Mexico. And I just didn't feel it would be relevant to provide data that I didn't feel was valid and accurate. But if you would like to see that data, I will gladly share that with you. So as of right now, you can see in blue we have those that the percentage of students reading on target, and then language and math. So our students are doing very well. We do have some issues in third grade, which is usually pretty typical for BOY for third grade because it is the first time that these students are seeing this assessment. So it's the first time that they're in this portal taking this test in this way. And it's a very different assessment from iStation, which is what they're used to in second grade. So while it appears alarming, I just want to give that footnote that this is typical to see when it in regards to third graders, since it is the first time that they use this platform. But this, I mean, the data is showing where our students are doing really well. One of the things that I'm always impressed with when I'm looking at our summative data is our students are usually performing above the state mean. So whatever that standard scale is, and if you wanted to dive down deeper, I definitely can. But please just note BOY isn't always necessarily indicative. When we show you MOY, you might see a dip, and that's usually just students ready to get on winter break. And that's pretty normal. And then you'll usually see the scores go back up at EOY, and we'll see that we can compare our end of year to our summative, which is NMASA. But the exciting news, tomorrow when it goes live, Explore Academy is a spotlight designation again. So I'm so excited for that. Our students are doing really well. If you look at the graph on this slide, you'll see that we did see areas of improvement in our students from school year 23-24 to 24-25. We did go up in reading and math scores. Science, we did see a slight dip, but not to where it's drastic. But I am really excited to see that we did have a lot of our scores go up. So just so you know, performance level 1, it is needs intervention. 2 is nearing proficiency, and then 3 is proficient, and 4 is considered advanced according to the state. So when you're looking at this, while we still have some work to do with students that are at level 1 and 2, we do have the majority of our students at proficient in level 3 and 4. So just some year-to-year growth summary. We did see improvement in the math proficiency at higher performance levels, which is always great to know. Continued need for targeted interventions in early grades. And again, third grade, it's also the first time they're getting used to the technology. They're not necessarily on the one-to-one device as much as our older students. So there is that learning curve. And then reading and language usage is showing a steady progress across all grade levels, which is great. Some of the things that I'm recommending as the director of assessment and some next steps and strategic focus that I think we really need to do is just strengthen our tier 1 instruction using data, expand some small group interventions for reading and math, continue monitoring our student progress using the IMESA benchmarks and comparing to how students did in years prior, and then really trying to align that professional development with the identified areas of need. And that's as simple as I tried to make it with our graphs, but if you have any questions for me, I am open for questions.
Chair Molina, I have a question for Melissa.
Please.
Melissa, I noticed on the first graph, I found it interesting that the 7th graders had a very high score in language and it dropped significantly in the 8th grade. Is there a reason for that? That's
okay, so you were looking at the first graph. Let me pull that back up. So actually, if we're looking, and you said for reading, because reading pretty much stayed the same. So so for language arts,
yeah.
it could also be, so for IMESA, they have different areas in which they're assessing. So sometimes one of the reasons why I don't always agree with some of the data and the way it's aggregated is if we haven't taught those standards at that specific time, that could be a reason. They're also getting different tasks, so it might go from informational to argumentative, just depending on what that task is. But I'm not that concerned, and when it comes to the IMESA results because our students performed really well on the summative NMASA last school year. So it could be several things. It could be we had such an early start of the school year. And students were probably already burnt out by the time we administered IMESA because they'd been in school for about 2 months. So there's several factors, but they also do get different tasks, and based on our scope and sequence and then the scope of sequence of the assessment, it could just be that there were standards that we haven't yet addressed yet in the classroom, but that they were assessing during the summit, during this interim assessment.
Very good. It just, it's stellar, grades 4 through 7, and then it did drop. But yes, I appreciate your explanation. Thank you.
Yeah, and then also when I worked at the State Department, we saw a lot of that. We did see a drop from 7th to 8th grade, that we couldn't explain. But again, like with third graders, I always try and give them grace because it is the first time that they're learning how to manipulate the testing environment and just the assessment itself. So I'm not as concerned. I'm definitely concerned at how low the math score is, but I'm really hoping that it has something to do with just the students' ability to maneuver as they're going through the testing portal.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dottie. Any other questions? On the next slide, slide number 3, I don't understand the x-axis labels. Performance 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. What do those mean?
So that's the percentage going up to 100. Let me pull up a different
The x-axis, the flat, the
oh,
bottom
the flat.
where
So
labels are all the same, but what
oh,
grades are those, or what? It doesn't make sense to me.
so it's separated by the amount of students that performed. Let me pull up another graph that I think would probably be better to understand.
Yeah.
I do have another graph that I think would like best show the data. So let me pull that up for Vistas.
I'm big on data labeling, and those labels make sense to me.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes I was struggling with, do I want to overkill you with a ton of slides, or try and just compile everything as best as I could. So my apologies for that, Chair Molina, but let me pull up the other data set that I think would make a little bit more sense. All right, and I can zoom in. So when we're looking at this math proficiency, it's showing the different performance levels. So as you can see when it came, and I'm sorry if it's not as large as you would as to make it easier to access, but in school year 23-24, we really did see some advancements from those that were still in the beginning stages at performance level 1. We did see an increase from 13 to 14.1, which isn't that great, but we also saw an increase when we got to our proficiency levels, which are 3 and 4. So we went up from school year 23-24 to only having 26 of our students performing at proficiency level and we went up to 29.7 in this past school year. And then for school year 23-24, we had 31 students at performance level 4, which is considered advanced, and we're very close to that 31% again for this year, and that's for reading. And then when we go into the science proficiency, we did see a little bit of a decline, but I'm pretty confident that we're not going to see that further. I think there was just some extenuating circumstances, and then also know for science it's grades 5, 8, and 11. And then when we go into our other proficiency levels, we saw an increase in all of our data. So I wish that I could show you because as a AAAC member for PET, I do have access to Vistas a little early because we were reviewing the platform to make sure everything is correct. I didn't make it as clear as the beautiful graphs that PET has available, but you will see that we did see an increase in reading and math proficiency from last school year. Science stayed about the same. The other thing that I wanted to highlight that I didn't have on the slide is we did improve our attendance rate. from 82.2 in school year 23-24 to 86% for 24-25. And I think that that's really powerful, just because there has been that big push on attendance. So the fact that we did see that increase, I definitely think that we need to celebrate that as well.
Okay. And then just to make sure I'm reading this right, let's take performance level 4 reading.
Yes.
If I'm reading this correctly, we have 31% of our students are proficient. Is that to say that we have 69% of students are not? Is that how I read it?
So no, so level 4 is considered advanced. So for the
Oh.
state of New Mexico, if you score level 3 and 4, you're considered proficient. So level 3 is the proficiency level for the state. So we have, so if you add those up, we have 60% of our students are proficient in reading from this past
Oh.
school year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the graph is 100% of our students.
Yes.
Oh,
In
okay.
grades
Okay.
3 through
Okay.
8,
Thank
my
you.
apologies.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I got it. I got it. I'm thinking, wait a minute. What? No. Okay. So if I add up all of the bars, I get 100%. And now we break it down from into level 1, 2, 3, and 4. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just so you know, performance level 3 is what's considered proficient, 4 would be considered advanced.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
And the state has the vistas laid out beautifully. I'm so excited for you to be able to see it tomorrow. I was just really excited to see that we were a spotlight designation. There were 6 appeals that I had to submit. Of course, nothing is perfect with PED data. So we actually take the time to look at their files, and then I pull all of our assessment files to verify that we're getting credit for all of our students that are assessed, making sure that if the score reports that we have are also correlating to the score reports that PED offers. So a lot of work goes into everything before PED actually advertises the vistas, and I'm glad that we have that opportunity to appeal, because sometimes those 6 issues with the data, if we don't appeal, could really be the difference between that spotlight designation or a traditional. So Clint, I worked with Clint and we were able to get all of this done, and then we do have another set of review, which is our grad rates. But when you pull up vistas tomorrow, you will see that we did have, I think it was a 3% improvement on grad rates as well for last school year.
Okay, great. And that's 3 percentage points year over year. Okay.
Over for the last cohort for 4 years, we had the 3% increase.
Very good. Wonderful.
Meaning the students who graduate within 4 years.
Right.
Perfect.
And board members, for those of you who aren't familiar, the spotlight means that you're in the top 25% of all schools in the state. So it's a really big honor, and it's the top 25% of all schools. So that's what the spotlight designation means. Traditional is good, you're doing a good job, but spotlight is exceptional. So kudos to you.
And then at a later meeting, if you're wanting to look at some of our fall PSAT and MSQT data, I can definitely share that out. We just had some students that had to do makeup testing. So the file isn't complete with all test scores. But once I have that, I can share, and we do have a few students that qualified for several awards. And I know that that is something that our head admin wanted to highlight. So once the remaining scores come in for the students that didn't test on the actual testing day, I will definitely provide that as well.
It looks like 3 of our students are qualified for the National Merit Scholarship, which is pretty amazing considering the size of our junior class. So that's pretty darn good.
Yeah, I'm really excited. They haven't put out the world's mean score yet for SAT, but I know that 2 years ago, our students did surpass that mean score. So I was really happy. And I know Jake was happy to report that. But if you have any questions for me, or if you ever want to just nerd out on some data, please feel free to reach out, and I would gladly do that. Member Brown, my something good, if I can share, is the National Honor Society at Explore Academy has really stepped up and done a lot of community service hours with different groups. One of the groups that I participate in, which is the New Mexico Crusaders for Justice, and we host events for families of victims of violence. And they have been volunteering hours to help set up and implement different activities. So I think it's really great that those students have stepped up in that way and are becoming active members in the community. So that's just something good that I've seen personally.
Thank you. Awesome. Very good. Very good. I do have a couple of adders to that with regards to the academic side. This is from Jake, so I'm just his mouthpiece here. Our director of data systems, Clint Cosper, is working on getting cross-reference data for pass rates at the mid-high, looking at ACT, SAT, PSAT, AccuPlacer, and some NMSSA data. A lot of that is, a lot of those tests are optional and self-reported by the students. So it's not as a robust data set as you saw from Melissa, but that'll be interesting information as well. And that'll be coming in the future. And then he wanted us to share that our graduating class is almost twice the size as it was last year. Last year, we had 45 students walk across the stage and shake Dottie's hand and my hand. This year, we've got 82 going across the stage, which poses a little bit of a problem because we have outgrown the Berna Fascio facility. We were pretty full last year. We had folks standing in the back. So now we're looking for a new venue, but that takes the price from $400 to $4,500 for a larger venue. So Jake is out there hustling, trying to figure out how we can facilitate this without spending too much money. So stand by for more, but our graduating class is quite large in comparison to previous years, which is quite outstanding. And that,
So,
yes,
Chair Molina, no date has been set for graduation yet then, right? Because of facility, or do we have a graduation date?
I cannot answer that question. That is not in my crib notes here. So we'll have to ask that next meeting from Mr. Cohen. But thank you for asking. I told you I'd have an answer. I didn't tell you it would be a great one. I just told you I'd have an answer. All right. So that brings us up to and touching on academic data. And again, that was back in August. That's kind of the bummer about this academic data is you're looking at it today, but it's really 2 or 3 months of a snapshot in the past, right? So it doesn't tell us, it's like looking at the speedometer 5 minutes after you were going that speed to figure out how fast you're going. So it's a little, not frustrating, but it's a little lag data. So anyway, that's where we were in August. That is not where we are today.
Yeah, we have our upcoming IMESA MOI in December before the students go on winter break. So we will have that data before they go on break. I don't know when your December meeting is, but I can definitely share that with you in January for your meeting.
January will be great because that'll be closer to the test date, right? So
yeah.
Very good, very good. All right. That sums up the academic report out, everyone. Any questions for Miss Melissa before we cut her loose to have a glass of wine or dinner or whatever? No? All right, wonderful. I will continue on with the administrative report, but Melissa, you are hereby dismissed. You can go back into the gallery and heckle.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
You too. All right, staffing. Some staffing updates, folks. We have 5 staff resigned since the beginning of the year. 3 were teachers who have chosen to return to or enter retirement. So some of our teachers came out of retirement, now they're going back. And 2 were due to some personal issues. None have left to go teach at other schools. So that's nice. We're retaining our folks. We are hiring 2 faculty members to replace some staff where others will have courses collapsed or cut. So some shifting going on and some backfilling, but not to the degree that we've seen in previous years. The receptionist at the mid-high level is moving out of state, and they have hired a replacement coming on or about December 3rd. So there'll be a new face up there. And something is in the water. We have 5 expecting moms happening in the spring. 5. So they're going to get clever on staffing and covering all of that. But Jake said, we are excited to have so many new moms at the school. So 5 5 new moms coming in the spring. And that is the staffing report. Any questions with regards to staffing? Very good. And then the OKRs, and then we will bring in Katya to talk about marketing. So stand by for that. With regards to the OKRs, just 3 changes. We're trying to track traffic on our activities calendar, but there's no way to track hits in Google Calendar. So we are figuring out how to track that, but there's no way to track how many times the calendar is hit. The My Pet Project will change its name to My Passion Project to avoid animal-based confusion. And in addition, he's going to scale it down as this is a brand new venture and the administration is considering how to meet the expectation Jake has set. So to give you some detail on that, it's the objective is to create visibility, and we are interested but need to fully look at the logistics of that whole My Passion Project OKR. If you remember when he rolled this out a couple 3 months ago, the OKRs are not written in stone. They're written, and then as we start to get information and see how it all works, the OKRs may shift, and that's exactly the space that we are in right now. So this is actually going perfectly to plan. This is actually going very, very well. And then finally, and this is where we can bring Katia. Sorry, my daughter has a friend who spells her name just like you, but they pronounce it Katia, and you are not Katia, you are Katia. So bring in Miss Pride. We anticipate some immediate exposure regarding our potential move, which isn't going to happen yet. But it looks like we are, like I said, we're in the holding pattern right now. So my guess is the media will become very disinterested because we have no news, to share. So, so anyway, that's the story with regards to that, because Jake has been pinged a couple of times by reporters about, hey, we're hearing rumors that you guys are moving. And now we can say, no, those rumors are not correct because we don't have anywhere to go yet. So having said that, Miss Pride, the floor is yours.
Good evening. Let me share my screen really quickly. So I'm just going to go over very quickly the marketing dashboard that I believe is linked in the agenda. This is just going to be where all of our data for marketing is going to land over the next marketing season. All of our analytics, everything will be in here, meaning impressions, things, returns that we're seeing, click rates, things like that will all land in here. But one thing I want to focus on this evening is the proposed budget for marketing. I will say it is a high number. That's because, right, again, it is proposed. All of the numbers that you're going to see are like, we can fluctuate, we can change, we can adapt, and make things really work for us this school year. So starting obviously up here at the top with the campaigns, looking at digital media, that's where we're going to get the most bang for our buck, for lack of a better term, just because it costs so little to get so many eyes on the Explore Academy model. I've broken it down by around $300 a week. Social media, that means like Facebook, Instagram. We're exploring the idea of TikTok ads, but nothing has been decided with TikTok yet because they have a lot of security things in certain ways. The ads have to be formatted that it may cost us more, so I'm still investigating that particular site. But Facebook and Instagram, we're looking at around $300 a week, 40 weeks, totaling 12,000. Same thing here. You can see the budgeted with Google ads, the 200, and then YouTube is at 100. The reason YouTube is lower at this time, again, these can fluctuate. So if we start to see over on the analytics side that YouTube is outperforming Google ads, meaning they're seeing more traffic, they're seeing more impressions, they're seeing more a higher click rate, then we can start cycling some of this back, down into YouTube and maybe take Google ads down. Well, not take them down, but take them down in cost, excuse me. So roughly around $24,000 for the next marketing season overall in online and internet ads. So that would include advertising out our information sessions, trying to make sure we are getting absolute reach with those dates, and trying to get them in the door to learn more about the model, along with obviously, right, the video ads that we have, the teacher testimonial ads that we have, and we're also looking at potentially creating some parent ads, so parents saying positive things, parents' experiences that we can kind of plug into, run alongside those social media and YouTube ads. Single expenses, again, these can fluctuate. This particular one, I've worked with the representative over at Isotopes Park, looking at an entire season for potentially our sign to hang in their, in the baseball stadium for the entire season. Now, this number, the 15,500, is the most expensive one. It's going to be the giant billboard in the back. That's a permanent sign that stays there the entire time. So any events that they have there, essentially our name would be on it. That number again can come down if we decide to go the route of a concourse sign, which are the signs you see like as you're walking along to get refreshments and things. Those can always change. Once we start partnering with them, they can throw in some, you know, incentives for us, meaning like Explore Academy nights or like a table, things like that, that we can work with them with. So I went with the absolute highest pricing on that. It's worth noting though that that could come down, and again, we could always fluctuate that money into anything that we see on here. The other single expense we have are just supplies. We have the school choice fair. We have different events that we're going to attend for ABQ Mom, things like that. So just to have some like candy, things that they can, tangible things that they can take with them. So that's just that cost right there. The swag is more down towards the bottom, so I could have put it under single expenses, but I put it under. Print media and literature. So flyers, postcards, kind of the things we buy every year that we just want to make sure we have on hand at both sites. That we're just going to revamp them, make them look a little bit more, you know, add, depending on where we land, adding in the 4-day school week to all that literature would mean a reprint of all that literature. So I factored in that cost so that we can be ahead of the game and make sure we have that cost factored in there. In the event that something changes or something and we can reuse that literature, I mean, we'll still use it, but then fantastic, right? That would take some of this price off. We also have the yard signs priced out. Price per unit would be $5. One thing we've ran into with the yard signs is we're going to have to be extremely careful where we place them. We can place them at businesses. However, on city, we have to be careful with on city property as well as versus county property. So that's something we would have to watch out for, and rotating those signs in and out, because they would be labeled as a temporary sign. We have to get permitting and do like a whole process if they're on city property. Now, if they're on private property, then it's different. So that's all something we can explore as we move down that. And then my last section, just some swag, you know, I priced out the pens again, the chapstick and the magnets. I put for staff vehicles. I think that's a good place to start. But I know Jake had expressed potentially moving some of this, like the magnet money to, he wanted shirts for staff. We did have the idea to do shirts for staff that said like, I teach at Explore Academy, you know, and then whatever they teach, and, you know, so that can be changed. That was just the cheaper of the two options. But the pens, the chapsticks seem to be the most cost effective, and they go a long way. I've seen a lot of people who still have our chapstick and will pull it out, you know, with their purse. Same thing with the pens, right? The pens, we can use them for events. We can hand them out. People take them. Great. So pens always tend to stick around. I am proposing 2 mailers. I'm proposing a large one in January. We did receive a list of addresses from APS. So we have those addresses. And so we're set to target them in January. That would be the big one. That's why you'll see the 12,000 there. That would be a massive K through, so, well, no, I'm sorry. It would be first grade through, well, there's pre-K addresses on there, but there's not a lot of them. So I guess kinder through what would be potentially 12th graders for next year. So that would target all of those families in January. and then moving to March and April, once we know after the lottery, it would be April now that the lottery's set for March. So in April, we'll be able to see exactly where we're at on waiting lists, populate out kind of the trend of where we're at, and then be able to target and do another mailer, but target the grade levels that we need. So specifically right this year, we would have, at that juncture, we would have done grades 6 through 12. Or we could do, grades at, honestly, that time last year, we probably would have just done 8 through 12. But we'll be able to better target, we'll spend less money, but we'll still be able to use the same list and target those same families. Yeah, so that's looking at a total, we're looking at $56,593. Again, this can fluctuate, we can change things. And yeah, move funds around, do what we need to do and adapt. I just want to get things started as quickly as possible because right now, we're not running paid advertising at this moment. So I do want to make sure that we are getting some advertising started before our application open date, which is set for December 9th.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Questions, comments, thoughts, fellow board members? And you came in under budget because I believe your budget was 60, right?
Sure. I believe that was the number that was originally said we wanted to spend around. But this was me looking at the trends online and saying, okay, how much we spent versus how many we actually need. So yeah, it was not my target, but yes, it is.
Okay. I know the baseball field advertising looks a little spendy, but man, what a great cross section of the community you get at a baseball game. So I think that's really clever because it really does hit the demographic we're looking for.
And soccer also.
You got right. There's
Too.
soccer
Right now, maybe not later, but yeah.
marching bands, all of that, everything that happens there. Eyes will see that, and it's a brilliant cross section of the community who attends those events. So that's very clever.
Thanks. Yeah, it's worth noting too. Like I said, I put the most expensive on there, but we're looking at what gets more traffic in the eyes of. Okay, so with the concourse signs when you're walking to get refreshments and things, the thought is if we design an ad that has a QR code on it that they can actually scan when it's all the way on the billboard. I reached out to the representative for the ISOPs to see if it's possible that we do that, but I don't know that they'll allow us to do that if it's on the billboard. So that's kind of the reason we're still figuring out which one's going to kind of work best for us.
Okay.
But it hits our target demographic very well. They have very good numbers. A little hard to track the return, but at least this year, now that we've added the questions into the enrollment process, we'll know a little bit more about where they saw us. So yeah, but very good returns and exactly hits our demographic perfectly.
And because we service the entire city, and the entire city has people that go to that. It's very clever. All right. Any last questions before we release Katia for the rest of her evening? Going once, going twice. Well, thank you very, very much.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
All right. All right. Miss Karen, I'm guessing you've got 7B for the general updates and reminders. Hope you're on mute. We can't hear you.
Oh, sugar. um, I am going to cover this part, but I've also asked Lisa Hughes, to join me because there's a couple of items that we'll be discussing that she's probably better equipped to answer questions or can help me with that. So let me just move Miss Pride. And so the first thing is the monthly update. I'm not going to go over it. You all have it to read. Miss McKinney sent me some nice compliments about the work our team does, but it's just to kind of provide a sense of what the directors are doing. for the school. And if you ever have any questions on anything you see in there, let us know. We'll bring the folks in. I may not be able to answer, but we can schedule somebody for a future meeting to come and answer any questions you have. So unless you have questions, I'm going to move to number 2.
No questions for me.
Okay. We've spoken about this annual report over and over again for last year. I still haven't gotten the final report with the corrections, but want you to know that it is going to be on the PEC's agenda for November 21st, just that they present it and go over what things were meets and does not meet, and the PEC decides if they're going to send a letter of any kind of concern to the school. There is no real opportunity for a school representative to discuss, but if you're interested in hearing and seeing what they present, it is on the 21st. And when I get an agenda, I will send that out to you. But the bottom line is that the report had a few we talked about this, some does not meets because of financial issues and audit findings. But I did get an email from Interim Director Russell that they were going to change that governing board one, but I still don't have the report with the change. So I just wanted you to be aware, and the email and the last report is our link on the agenda. I suspect there's not questions because we've kind of talked about that over and over again. The next one is the board, as you know, approved to sell the school-owned vehicle, the Ford Expedition. And what I've linked on there is just a summary of the steps we have to take. It's not like you can just put an ad in a car sale or Craigslist and sell it. You have to follow certain procedures because it is it was purchased with state taxpayer fund, taxpayer monies. So the outline is in there, but Lisa is the one who's been really working on this. And because of the value of the vehicle, it does have to be approved by the State Board of Finance, which is the New Mexico Department of Finance Administration. The earliest we can get on agenda with them is December 16th because the deadline for submitting stuff is November 25th. Lisa's already prepared the form and the cover letter and a proposed sale agreement. We already have board minutes, but all of that needs to be submitted to the Board of Finance before we can actually sell the vehicle. Meanwhile, what we're doing is because the sale, for those of you who don't know, by statute has to go to, well, if it's land, it can go to a Native American nation, tribe, or pueblo. The next thing is a negotiated sale or donation to other state agencies, local bodies, or school districts. Then the third is through a competitive sealed bid or public auction. So what we discussed doing is sending an email to all the charter schools in the state, seeing if there's any interest because they are the first, they're the state agency or local body. And if they are interested, we're setting a date for them to come and view the vehicle, and then they still have to wait until we get all the approval before they could purchase it, but at least get that groundwork done. If schools are not interested, we've met with Dottie. Thank you, Dottie, for meeting with Lisa and I on this topic as well. But we decided if no one's interested, no schools are interested, our next step will be to follow the procurement process for an invitation to bid, which requires a 10-day posting period, and then it's basically the highest bidder. We'd have to open them publicly, but you don't have to take any bid. You have to sell it to the highest bidder, but if you feel that they are all too low, you don't have to sell it. So just wanted you to be aware of where we're going and why it's taking a while. But we are working on it, and Lisa has done a lot of legwork on this. And Dottie, thank you for meeting. Member McKinney, Secretary McKinney, and met with Lisa and I about this as well. It was very helpful. So all that to say, it's going to take a little bit of time, but we're working on it. Lisa, is there something I missed that you want to add?
No, that was a great summary. So I appreciate your support and board member McKinney as well, because it is a process. We do have everything drafted. We just got to review those a couple more times and then send them off to get the approval. And then once we have the approval, we're already doing some of that legwork to open it up to charter schools first. But everything is drafted in case we do need to move to an intent to bid, so that we're ready with the process, since it is quite a lengthy process. The only other thing that I would add is if we do have to go to an intent to bid, we can set a minimum bid. So if we don't get anything of the minimum bid, we do not have to go with that. And I've talked to Mr. Colander about that minimum bid. So we're all set with that, with what you guys agreed at your October board meeting. So we should be good to go. It's just a process and lots of notification to get it going.
Thank you. Well done.
Okay, no questions for that one?
No questions.
Moving on.
I just want
Um,
to compliment Lisa.
Got it.
I want to compliment Miss Hughes for the work that she's done. This has not been easy, and we still have a ways to go, but she's remarkable. Thank you, Miss Hughes.
You are very welcome. It's all for the school, and it's my pleasure to support the school in any way that I can.
Okay, thank you.
So the next one is the near peer tutoring program, which initially I had applied for before Miss Hughes was on board, but now she's kind of handling all, not only transportation, but grants. And so this is one of those topics that Lisa and I tag team on as well. So what I wanted to share is, if you haven't heard much about the near peer tutoring program, we've started it as soon as PED offered it with the COVID funds that were available in, I think it was January of 23 is when we actually got it off the ground. It was the very first semester that schools were able to participate. It's been very successful for your school, where you have high school students tutoring other high school or middle school students. It's been a very successful program. Parents and students request the tutoring. It's been phenomenal. And unfortunately, this past year or late last year over the summer, as PED was working on this, seems to be that they had programs purchased for a high dosage tutoring program that they wanted to use. And we're looking for a tutoring program that could use them and sort of put it with the near peer tutoring. I'm going to summarize it to say this has been a very concerning problem because the requirements are basically asking our high school students to serve as interventionists, make lesson plans, use specific programs and materials and intervention activities that are well beyond what we've been doing in this near peer tutoring. And actually our teacher coordinators and school administrators feel it's inappropriate. I would say that the leaders from the college and career readiness that handled this grant are trying to make it work because that's their direction, but it is really not going well. A couple of school districts have already pulled out and aren't taking the grant funds. We are going to continue because they haven't asked for full implementation of this yet, because they just kind of threw it all at us in September. They're still doing training. It's a little bit of a little bit too rushed and more importantly, inappropriate for our students to be serving as interventionists. So my ask tonight is, in summary, to ask that the board approve maybe designating Chair Molina to finalize and send a letter of concern to the PED and to legislators who approved this grant funding to stress how successful our program was and how difficult it is now become, and may actually require us to withdraw at some point from this program, as the intent and the requirements have changed drastically this year. So I think I'm asking on behalf of the school team, as well as Lisa and I, for your support in sending a letter and trying to at least ask for conversation about how it's working, how it's not. I also plan to contact all the schools involved. I have all their emails because we get invited to meetings and they're all on there, to ask them to join us in some letters as well from the school. But I think having something from the board would also be very influential, and I'm asking for your support. Any questions for me or Lisa? Lisa, do you want to add anything to that? I'm sorry.
No, you gave a great summary. We've really been trying to make it work. As we know, the near peer tutoring program has been very successful, not only for academics, but also for social, emotional relationship building for the students. Because oftentimes, if it doesn't make sense from a teacher or they're struggling hearing it from a teacher, a peer can give it to them in a way that they understand it. So not only has it helped with academics, but they trust their near peer tutors, and it's a very successful program the way it's been working with our model. We do join the open forums with the PED that they have for this near peer grant right now, based off of the training suggestions, because they rolled it out so quickly. And we have voiced our concerns that way. And this is the next step that Ms. Werner is asking for your support with, so that we can hopefully bring awareness to the challenges that we are having to approach this year with the drastic changes that were kind of rolled out way too fast without full thinking it through, in that sense. So I think Ms. Werner gave a great summary of it, and that would be my ask as well, for your support as we move forward in this next venture to try to get some more support behind it.
I should say, Lisa kind of touched on it. We've had multiple meetings, sharing very candid concerns with the folks who are managing the program at PED, but I think it needs to go up the chain at this point. They're sort of limited in what they can do, and they don't make the decisions. So.
Okay. Yeah, that's wholly inappropriate. That's so outside the scope of what the original program was and what we should expect of a student. So, so are you saying we need to move? We have to have we need a motion and a vote to draft that letter?
I think it would be helpful if you're comfortable to do that. Otherwise, we have to wait till the next meeting, and I'd really like to get it out before then. But I thought if you could approve designating you to finalize and send it. Otherwise, you can't really sign on behalf of the board, Mr. Molina.
Well, it would be self-serving if I made that motion. So I'm going to ask one of my fellow board members to move to do that, and then we'll go into a vote.
I'll move. I would like to move to approve designating Chair Molina to finalize and send a letter of concern to PED and legislatures regarding the near peer tutoring program.
Second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Heather. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion, fellow board members? We're just approving me to sign on behalf of the board is pretty much what we're doing. All right. If no further discussion, then Ms. Dottie, would you please conduct a roll call vote for us to draft a letter and have it signed by me on behalf of the board with regards to the near peer program?
Yes, sir. Chair Patrick Molina.
Aye.
Vice Chair Heather Anderson.
Aye.
Member Jan Schubert.
Aye.
And Member William Brown.
Aye.
Secretary Dottie McKinney. Aye.
All right. Very good. Thank you very much, everyone.
So, Lisa, if you would share that information with the team.
I definitely
thank you for your
will.
help.
Yes,
Thank you for all your work on it.
Thank you, everybody, for your support. We just want to do what's best for kids. It's always bringing it back to the students and what works for them and what's best for them. So thank you for your support.
100%. 100%.
Oops, I didn't want that screen. Thank you, Lisa. I'll send you back to the attendees. And then the last thing, board members, for me is governing board training requirements. So I think kudos go to, I think it's Mr. Molina and Miss Anderson for getting their, I think, let me make sure. Anyway, I
don't have them in the right cat. I need to go get 2 more classes. So I'm going to have
okay.
hours.
Okay, so obviously I'm just starting my nagging at this time of the year because you've got some time yet. But I want to make sure that everyone does get their training done by the end of the year, because it will be a ding against the school if you don't. So real quickly, especially for the new board members, are you seeing the agenda?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm up to here, review of the training requirements, but on every agenda, if you scroll down, there's lots of resources at the bottom. One of them is the CSD training tracker, which I generally transfer to this internal tracker. And you can see that, yeah, Patrick's done most of his hours, but because they have to have it in each of these categories, as he just said, he's got some categories to cover yet, which will exceed the 5 hours, but it has to be in each category. Miss Anderson gets the gold star this year for completing all 5 hours in all 5 categories. And you can see that others have been working, but again, we have until, I like to say May, but it's really June 30th, but please finish by May. And if you're having any trouble accessing or aren't familiar with it, there are some notes at the bottom of the agenda, but call me or email me and I'm happy to help you.
Awesome.
That's all.
Groovy. All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And that wraps that up. We're on item number 8, board comments. Any comments from the board? All right. Item number 9, public comment regarding any item not on the agenda. We have one lovely Jenny Hathaway in the attendees. So Jenny, if you have anything, raise your hand. All righty. Well, then we scooted under 3 hours. I would like to adjourn this meeting at 8:32. Our next meeting is Tuesday, December 9th at 5:30. Thank you all so very much for your continued hard work and dedication. Love seeing you all. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you in December.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night, all.
Good night.